my contribution. Maybe like some seltzer?
Sure. He's going to bring me some. You know, he's going to bring me some coffee.
Okay. There you go.
So it's not coming? You see if it's a Schneider Shiur.
No, it's recording.
I was the one that asked that question.
Okay, what are we talking about today?
You're on today. You tell us. No one said you should just let it flow today.
So can I just introduce my the tikkun for my uncle?
Oh yeah, please do.
So today's yahrzeit of my beloved uncle, Yehuda Hirsch ben Mordechai B'Chana Sarah. He was the grandson of the Stretner Rebbe of Toronto, and a very deep and solitary soul whose great ambition in life was to get as far away from mankind as possible. He could not tolerate the hypocrisies and small cruelties of life, and ended up settling in the high desert of New Mexico. And being a very solitary person, he nonetheless was one of the best conversationalists, one of the deepest of thinkers I've ever known. And so I thought it was a beautiful. He would have really appreciated this level of conversation and discourse, and so it's great kavod to be able to sponsor something for the Rebbe's last sita.
What is the name?
His name is Yehuda Hirsch.
Yehuda Hirsch.
Yeah.
Ben.
Ben Mordechai.
And the Shema should have an aliyah.
Yehuda Hirsch ben Mordechai?
Ben Mordechai, yeah. Amen.
Shana should have an Leah.
Amen. Could you pass those around?
Pass a cup down here, please.
Can I get you anything?
No. Chai, you made this too hot. I have a flood of different thoughts, none of which are necessarily connected to each other. So, first of all, I do want you to know how flattered I am by the fact that that you come and on a regular basis, and you come at all and any time to listen to the Torah. So that I'm honored by your presence. And last night, one of the sentiments that I tried to express was the fact that I feel that my time here in Beit Shemesh has expanded my family. I feel very. I just feel very welcomed by everybody, and I want you to know I feel embraced by you, and I feel that I've taken you into my heart. So I'm grateful for that expansion as well. I think some of the things that I'd like to leave you with is multifaceted. Number one, I think one of the greatest stratagems of the lesser part of ourselves is to obscure the grandeur of our neshamas, to obscure the potential that all of us own. And by obscuring it, or by demeaning it, or by putting us down in the many ways that, it's not that when the voices inside us minimize us by virtue of the mistakes that we've made or the weaknesses that we have, that's dishonest. It's not dishonest. If it would be dishonest, we would identify it very quickly and dismiss it. The problem is that when we're reminded of our faults and our errors and our weaknesses, that we recognize that they're true. Nonetheless, these voices obstruct us. They prevent us from reaching for the potential that each one of us owns, and it also makes it impossible for us to see how exciting it can be if we were moving towards fulfilling our potential. So I suspect that there's a great deal of sadness that we feel because we know that we're not moving in the right direction, because we know that there's something very, very precious, very rich inside of us that we're not excavating. So it's existential. It's deep. It's something that operates at a very kind of subliminal level. But I think it does operate, and I think that it does rob us of the joy, the real joys of life. And what goes with that particular stratagem of the Yetzer Hara is very clever. There's a Gemara in Yuma that says that there are, I believe, 6 psukim she'en lahem hechra. They don't have a hechra. You don't exactly have. Do we have chumash? Chumash. No, give me a chumash. Just give me a chumash. It's fine. So it's not clear. I don't remember exactly what I think. If you want to look it up, I think it's something like maybe Nun and Aleph around there. But anyway, so one of them is this week's Sedra. Oh, and last week's Sedra, I'm sorry, it was Parashat B'Shalach. Last week's Sedra. So it says, Vayova Amalek vayilachem Yisro b'Fidim, that Amalek came and did battle with Yisrael in Refidim. Vayemer Moshe Yisro, and Moshe said Yeshua b'chalonu anoshim, choose some people, some warriors, v'tzei hilachim b'Amalek, and go out and do battle with Amalek. Mocher anichi nitzav al Yisrael. Agiva, tomorrow I will be standing on the top of this hill. Umati alekim biyodei, and the staff of Hashem will be in my hands. So the Gemara says that the word machar could be read together with the beginning of it could belong to the beginning of the sentence, or it could belong to the end. So it could read like this: and go out and do war with Amalek tomorrow. Or it could be, go out and do battle with Amalek. And tomorrow I'll be standing on the. So the Macha could be go out and do battle with Amalek tomorrow, or go out and do battle with Amalek. Tomorrow I'll be standing on the thing. So that's what Moshe says. That it's not clear whether the trop actually has an asnachta b'Amalek, which would imply that that's where it stops, and that Macha, it's a revi, it belongs to the second part. But anyway, that's a chazal. So the Sfar Mekdeshim is saying that one of the tactics of the Yetzer Hara is to say to us, you have this goal, whatever that is. You wanna have more hisbodedus. You want to have more time to think about your midos. You want to have more time for your family. You want to have more time for davening. You want to have more time for learning. You want to have better quality. You want to work on your temper. You want to, okay, right? So, and the truth of the matter is that anything of value requires time. Short supply. I don't know whether it's worse today. It's we should have more time today than ever before in history, and we have less time. If you don't believe that the world is in a hurry, just wait for 2 seconds at a stoplight, and the minute that it turns green, you'll know how. The definition of a split second is being at a traffic light that turns green in New York.
Or Israel when it starts yellow before
It's just, the beep will happen immediately. So, so the Baldova comes to us like this. The Yetzer comes and says to us, this thing that you want, excellent idea. I approve of it. I'll help you with all kinds of those kind of. But we have some priorities today. So just put it off. Do it tomorrow. So that sounds pretty reasonable. Tomorrow is pretty soon, and we can put it off for tomorrow. But tomorrow also is a tomorrow. And I've been working on my tomorrows now for like 70-something years. And I'm still working on it tomorrow. It's not flattering. So, the Shalom would say that the name of Amalek, you want to know what Amalek is? The name of Amalek is Mocher, tomorrow. That robs us. It robs us of progress, of moving our lives. So you say that, Hilochim ba'Amalek mocher, that the word mocher is a defining adjective of Amalek. We're going to go do battle with Amalek, the Amalek of mocher. And I suggested that was the meaning when, I think I may have shared this already with you in Parshas Bay, that when your son will ask you tomorrow, Mazais, what is this? And he's talking about a Pidyon Haben. So your son is going to look at this and say, what's this all about? So then you should tell him this. So we know in Agod it's also Mazais. Here's this kid. He's sitting at a Seder. There's maybe a Korban Pesach. They're eating matzah, more or whatever, and he says Mazais. So the question is, how could this happen? How could a child ask a question? That's so elementary. So Rashi says over here that when they say, and when he asks you tomorrow, it doesn't mean he's going to ask you tomorrow. יש מוחר שהוא עכשיו, יש מוחר שהוא לאחר זמן. יש מוחר שהוא עכשיו, יש מוחר שהוא לאחר זמן. There's the word mocher doesn't really mean literally, it's figuratively. There's a mocher that sometimes the word mocher means tomorrow. But here, it doesn't mean tomorrow. It means in the future. In the future, it could happen your child would ask you. So I suggested that the person is telling you what kind of a child asks you this question. This is the child who came to you when you came home from work. You were tired, and maybe you were hungry. And he said to you, Abba, would you learn with me? And you said to him, sweetheart, I will learn with you. I'm very tired. Maybe a little bit later, but later something else came up, so you didn't learn with him. So he'd say to you, so you didn't learn with me, so I'll learn with you tomorrow. Tomorrow you had a meeting. And then there was another tomorrow. And then this, and so your child was growing up, and it was always tomorrow. And then he comes along and he says to you, Abba Mazois. And then you realize that you put him off for too long. So the Pasuk is telling you what kind of child asks you. It's the child of tomorrow that asks you that question. That's a definition. Bincha Macha, it's the child of tomorrow that asks you that question. And Rashi said, Yesh Macha Shu'achshav, there's a Macha that's real. But the Yesh Macha Shu'achas Man, it's too late. It's Achas Man. You waited too long. So, but we are that child. We ourselves are that child. We are the child because we keep on putting our own future off. We listen to Amalek, and he said, "Okay, I agree with you. It's terrific. You know, your goals are fantastic. But today we have, there's so many things that we got to do today. So let's get those done first, and then tomorrow you can do it. But tomorrow has another tomorrow." So, our paternal lineage comes from Rabbi Michel of Anapola. Rabbi Michel of Anapola, whenever he would want to give Musar, would never say to somebody, he would look at somebody and then he would know what he had to say, and then he would say it on himself. He would say it audibly out loud. He would say, Zisha, Zisha, why do you always wake up so late in the morning and then you miss Man Krishma? Zisha, why when you make a bracha are you so distracted you don't even know what you're saying? He would say those things out loud, and the person who was sitting there would realize that all of the things that Zisha was saying to himself were relevant. Probably not to Zisha, but he knew that meanwhile he was listening to his own agenda. And what I just told you today is autobiographical. I'm telling you about my my struggle with Amalek, with the Macha. I'm the child of tomorrow, but there's no reason why anybody has to be the child of tomorrow. Even when they say one of the definitions of a chassid is somebody who's eternally young. Baal Shem Tov said that when he said, "Al tashlicheni le'es zikna," Rebbeinu Shalom, don't let me become someone whose aveda, whose relationship with you is old. Don't cast me into, like it becomes routine, becomes old. Al tashlicheni le'es zikna, don't let me become old. And so the definition of a chassid is really someone who maintains that excitement, that curiosity, that freshness, the attitude that I can start again. And that's really one of the great strengths of Klal Yisrael, is that we're a nation that's, we're kind of a nursery school nation. You know how many times we've begun over and over and over again, so they exiled us from Spain and from Portugal. We started over again. And there was Tach and Tat, and we started over again, and then there was the Holocaust. Look at what we did. We started all over. We just, who started over? People who were maimed and mutilated and lost everything. We build again. We're builders. We're nursery school. So we can be nursery school at age 50, 60, 70, 80. Somebody who was 80 years old was once asked, how he could define himself. He said, "I'm a combination of lots of young people." So I think it's important for all of us to appreciate what we are, who we are, what we can become, and not to postpone it. And since everything takes time, we have to make some time. Somebody once came in and asked Rabbi Michel Salanta, famous story, Salanta, he only has a half hour a day. He wants to know, should he learn Musar or should he learn Halacha? Rabbi Salanta said, you should learn Musar. Now, when this person left this, Talmidim said, Rebbe, how could you say that to me? Allah, he got to know how to live. He said, this person thinks that he only has half hour a day. If he learns Musa, he'll know that he has 3 hours a day. And then he'll be able to learn plenty of Allah and plenty of the other things. So it's how does that Peter principle go? The work expands to the amount of time that you have.
Could that be symbolized by the Tamid offering? It was always morning and evening, a yearling lamb that was brought, a fresh young lamb was brought on the Mizbeach, symbolizing it.
And maybe that's why when the
Yisro
Tamid stopped, that's what Yisro really lost. So we had one of our illustrious forebearers was the Rebbe of Kaminka. So he was once entertaining some very distinguished guests, and one of the guests remarked, it would be nice if maybe you had some mashka, some schnapps. And he told a story about two chassidim who are very poor. They have nothing, but they have this bottle of mashka. So one says to the next, really, today's Rosh Chodesh, we'd have a Suda, but we don't have any food. So the other guy said, well, we have some mashka. They didn't have a kohen today in shul. And they called up a regular Yisro, and they called them up Bimkim Kohen. So we'll take each a shot glass of mashka, and we'll say, L'chaim Bimkim Bilka. Bilka is a roll, some bread. Okay? Then the guy says, okay, L'chaim Bimkim fish. Not L'chaim. L'chaim Bimkim soup. Not L'chaim. L'chaim Bimkim fleish. Kugel. They get finally to the end of the meal. L'chaim. One guy said, the next has been a great meal. If only we had those schnapps. So one of these tzaddikim said to the Rebbe, he said, Rebbe, it would be nice. So he said, yeah, I have. He said, but I don't want the Rebbe. No, he was an elderly man already. The Rebbe was an elderly man. He said, I'm gonna send my Yingala to get it. So they figured he's got an anicle there, one of his grandchildren, and so he gets up and walks out, but he doesn't come back so soon. So they realized that he went to get the schnapps himself. He finally comes back. So they said to him, Rebbe, you went to get it yourself? He said, yes. He said, but you said you were going to send your Yingala. He said, I did. He said, I realized many, many years ago that if I wanted to ever amount to anything, I had to keep my yingala. I had to keep my little boy inside, because that's what drives me. So he said, so now when we needed schnapps, he said, I told you I was going to send my yingala. I did. I sent my yingala. I went to get the schnapps. So that's what we got to do. We have to hang on to the yingala. So I thank you once again for being here with me, and for being such a great group of listeners. And
When do you travel? When does Rabbi travel?
In Yetz Hashem tonight at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Should have a pleasant trip. Safe
I
trip.
mean, I don't want to end up on the tarmac in Alaska for 12 hours. That plane.
Flying through Alaska?
What's
I don't know
happened?
where they stopped in Canada. There was an El Al flight. I was on the way. One of my grandchildren was on the flight.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, they ended up sitting in the plane for 12 hours until they brought another plane.
My son was trying to get on that flight. He was on the earlier, mostly Shabbat flight. He wants some more time. But because these idiots what the heck is that agency that they made the ticket for him through, we can't change airports, can't change it. It was going through Newark. So otherwise he was on that
You
flight
see that?
early.
That was number one. You said number one. Beginning of this.
Yeah, I had them here, man, as number one.
Yeah.
Point number one.
That's a big number one.
I guess he has to stay 10 more minutes.
10 more minutes. We're not gonna use those 10 minutes.
All right, so I'll tell you a story. I mean, it could be a story that you've heard already. There's Rabbi Kiva was the Rav in Posen, which is someplace in Europe. I'm guessing in Poland. I don't know. So there was a milkman. And this milkman, I don't know what his name was, but he was always a big Baal Simcha. And wherever he would go, he would just brighten up everybody's life by his Simcha. And then everybody noticed that he had lost the Simcha. And when they began to inquire, they learned that he had an only child who was an adult, a married young man with a young family, and that he had come down with some kind of an illness where the local physician diagnosed that it was a terminal illness. So he was shattered, and his simcha was gone. So they brought this to the attention of Rabbi Kiva. So shortly after Rabbi Kiva found out about this issue, this elderly milkman came in and said to him, Rebbe, you heard about my son. He said, the royal physician is going to be visiting Posen for one day, and he will be seeing patients. So he said, the problem is, he says, that in order to get an appointment, you have to have some protection, and I don't have it, he says. So the people who are getting appointments are the richest people in the city. And I don't have a chance, he said, but maybe if my son were to have, his attention. Maybe he would know something, the royal physician, the best physician in the kingdom. So KSY said to him, when is he coming? He told him when he's coming. He said, okay, the day that he's coming, you come to fetch me, and I'll go with you to the office. So when the physician came to town, the milkman came to get Rabbi KSY. Rabbi KSY walked with him into the doctor's office. And as soon as he walked into the doctor's office, both the Jews and the non-Jews stood up reverently, because he was a person who commanded that kind of reverence. And Rabbi KSY said to the secretary, I know that you have appointments, but I respectfully request that you give me a few minutes with the physician. So the secretary of the physician saw the kind of respect that everybody had for him, so he made sure that they went in, that it was taken in, and Rabbi KSY said to the physician, I need a personal favor from you. After your hours, I want you to come with me to see this young man. I want you to come with me to see this young man. So the physician agreed, and after hours, KSY came with the milkman, and they went to this young man's home, and he was lying in bed, very weak, and the doctor examined him, and when he finished, he said to him, he said to the family, he said, the diagnosis of the local physician was accurate, and there's nothing we can do for him. So KSY said to the doctor, he said, Doctor, I know this is going to sound to you very impudent, but I need to ask you this question. If this were not this very humble person, if this were the prince, if this was the king's son, what would you say? Would you say the same thing? So he stopped and he said, no. He said, I would tell you that there is a very rare antidote for this disease. He said, but it's in order to get this medicine. He said, there's a particular bird whose liver, if you process it in the right way, produces a certain enzyme, and with that enzyme, that would counteract this disease. But it's a rare bird. And the only way to get this bird would be to go into the forest and trap the bird. He said, no way you can do it. He said, but if you're the king, then you can send 10,000 soldiers into the forest. With 10,000 soldiers, you'll find the bird, and you'll. So I said to him, can you tell me the name of the bird? Can you tell me what it looks like? And he told him. So the physician left, and KSY went over into a corner, and he was mispelled. And after a period of time of davening, they heard a pecking at the window, and they looked up at the window, and there was this bird which the physician had described, and they let the bird in. I guess KSY got to ask them how to process this thing, how to draw out the enzyme. Anyway, and the young man had it a flame. Several years later, the royal physician returned to Posen again. And KSY asked the young man to come with him to see the physician. So they walked into the physician, and the physician took a look at this, and he said, "This is, it's not possible. How are you alive?" So he said to him, "Well, you told us about this bird. We got the bird, and we made the enzyme, and So he said to him, come on, So Yoga said to him, look, he said, the power of the nations is Yadayim Yadei Esav. So if you're dependent on Yadayim Yadei Esav, then you have to be a king, and you have to have 10,000 soldiers, and you go and he says, but we have, our strength is the Kail Yankiv. Our strength is in. So he said, so you use your 10,000 soldiers, and we used ours. And you trap the bird with the 10,000 soldiers, and we trap the bird with our tefillas. So, I think one of the things of being conditioned by our culture is the fact that we are very dependent on the science in which we live. So when we go to a doctor, it's the doctor, and when we get the medicine, it's the medicine, and when whatever it is, it's always something. But if we keep our heads on straight about our lives in general, whether it's about the health, about our health, or whether it's about our parnasa, and whatever it is about, the key to it all is to remember where everything is coming from, and to invest that consciousness in everything that we do. It changes. It really changes the quality of our lives, because it's the difference between the limitations of science and the infinite capacity of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who's a Kohen Yachal, he's omnipotent. So it's maybe it's very subtle. It's not like we don't go to doctors, it's not like we don't go to work, but it's to remember constantly that our strength lies in the Kol Yankiv and not the Yadayim Yadei Esav. So keep us in mind in your tefillah. So here it's a local call.
It's all wireless now.
It's Hashem, it will be them at the local call.
It's Hashem.
He has to bring Milwaukee with him.
That's the word in the story.
Bring around Milwaukee with him. Your call is inspiring to us, Rabbi.
Only point number 2, Rabbi said there was a multitude of.
All right, year 3, 4, 5, and 6, you're all invited to Milwaukee.
I don't have any immediate plans. We have a lot over here. These 3 guys over here are all therapists, so I'm going to work with my therapists, and they'll help me figure it out.
We'll be in Milwaukee for about 10 minutes, 2 weeks before Pesach, the Amtrak station.
Oh, really? You go through.
Yeah, the Empire Builder goes from Chicago to